It was my intention to do just a 60-second video on Harrison Ashby, but in fact, I tell a lie, I did actually record a 60-second video on that very subject, but it's not enough. And because I'm really, really excited about watching this player, and I want to see more of him. When I watched the Charlton game, he came on for I think it was a maximum 5 minutes. Came on with Connor Coventry. And I thought, and I said in a review that I thought they both looked really, really good. Now I'm not sure he touched the ball against Charlton more than 3 times, but there was an intent, there was a drive to get down that right hand side. There was something about him which made him want to impose himself on the game. He had his 5 minutes of fame, and he was going to try and grab the limelight and make a statement to the manager and the coaches. And I thought he did that, and I thought he did enough to warrant maybe inclusion for the game, for the whole game. Now, he was on the bench for that, and I was delighted. But due to everybody falling down and getting coronavirus and testing positive for COVID-19, he was basically placed in the starting lineup, as you'll know. Now, again, that can't be an easy thing, because a lot of the training will have been based around him not being in the starting lineup, and he certainly would have had the mindset that he was hopeful that he would be able to get into the team at some point. Maybe come on as a, whatever, I don't know, 70-minute substitute. Probably half hour before kickoff, he found out he was playing. I think it's hard to underestimate what a massive point that is in a player's career, what a massive pivotal moment that is in a player's mind. Later on in the game, when he went off injured, and we'll talk about that in a minute, Longelo came on, and he came on and he made a mistake. And I think he's got the makings of a good player, by the way, Longelo. But I thought at the time, one of the main reasons he was so skittish and why he made a mistake at the time was because he hadn't been warming up for 10 minutes. It's not like Alan Irvine had said to him, go on, go and run up and down the touchline for a bit. I'm bringing you on in a bit. No, what had happened was he hurriedly was brought onto the pitch. He probably didn't expect to play. Ben Johnson was playing at left back at that time, and he probably thought Ben's going to play all game. So he was thrust into it, and I thought he was a bit startled, like a rabbit caught in the headlights. I thought that's why the mistake came. Well, that feeling, well, I was going to say would, or maybe even should, have been even bigger for Harrison Ashby when he was told right before kickoff, by the way, we got some problems with the team. You're playing. You're in, mate. And that must have been a big thing. Not only are you in, you're in. You're replacing Diop, £23 million player, a top player. He came on and he was to the manner born. The kid's got pace. He's got technique. He's got a willingness to join in. But it is his confidence that has really astounded me, actually. And I'm aware, yes, it's Hull. People will write it underneath. But let's be fair, we've seen enough times at West Ham of players not looking very good when we played lower league opposition. I was at Oxford last year. Believe you me, it's easy for us to get knocked out of the cup. Yet, from the word go, once again, he decided to try and stamp his authority on the game. He looked like he was trying to score a Yarmolenko goal, and the way he took it down his right foot, cutting on his left and tried to curl it into the top corner, smacks of a player in confidence. And it makes me wonder, well, we must be doing something very, very right, let's be fair, but it made me wonder about the Ngakia situation. It made me think, we all suspected, or many of us suspected, that Ngakia wanted to leave because he didn't think he would play at right back. A lot of us thought it was because Ben Johnson was coming through and he wasn't sure that he would be the first choice right back. And since then, Ngakia has come out and he has indicated that that is exactly the reason. I think he did an interview on the Watford website just last week, and he said, I wanted to leave West Ham because I wanted to do the best for my career. I wanted to play regular first team football, thus giving the indication that he didn't think he'd get first team football at West Ham. Maybe it wasn't just Johnson, though. Maybe he knew about Ashby as well. Because I was just doing a player ratings video with Gio, and I just said to Gio just then, when I was whilst I was pleased for Ashby, I was a little bit disappointed that David Moyes wasn't there to see how good he was, see how influential he was. But then I sort of checked myself, well, hold on a second. David Moyes will know exactly how good this lad is. Anything he's done today, he'll have done for the under-18s, under-23s, or whatever the case may be. Everything he's doing now, he'll do in training. This won't be a surprise. Ability will never be a surprise. The only parameters that change really are, can the player do it in a first-team game? So I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people who are impressed with Harrison Ashby, but even more impressed that he's able to impose himself on a game. And it is really important when you play these lower league oppositions, particularly when you're a young player, that you look, as Gio would say, head and shoulders above the opposition. In essence, an 18, 19, 20-year-old at West Ham should be at a better level than a League One player. That's what the academy system is all about. And I did think that in Ashby and Ben Johnson, we had two players who looked significantly better than him. At least say the same, but we'll talk about him at another time. I also thought Johnson was absolutely amazing, because I felt, unlike Ashby, he didn't start off this season confident. Even last season, as well, say last season when he played a couple of games, I thought he played within himself. If you look at when I discussed him on the review, I thought he took up sensible defensive positions. We were conceding a few goals last season where somebody was attacked down Cresswell's position, cross it over to the back post, and Fredericks wasn't stood in the right position. If you look at those games again, Johnson's always stood in the right position. He seems to understand the distance in between the centre back and the right back and that sort of thing. But I felt he played within himself. I didn't feel there was much, what should we say, creativity going forward. So I felt it was a caution to him. I didn't feel he was totally confident. I felt in this game against Hull, this was a time when and I think it might have been to do with Ashby, by the way. He thought, well, hold on a second, I'm the senior player here. And we saw him curling passes down the wing with his weaker foot. We saw him marauding forward. The Hull players weren't causing him much trouble in terms of making him defend, although he did do a couple of crunchy tackles. So he thought, you know what, I'm going to go and impose myself in the attacking third. And I was very, very impressed with what I saw from Johnson. And I thought it was a bit of a pivotal moment for him, because whilst I wouldn't say he looked like a senior player, he looked like somebody who was saying, look, I've played 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games at West Ham. I am a member of the West Ham squad. And he seemed to carry himself with a little bit more confidence, a lot more confidence. I thought he was actually a ton better than his opposite numbers. And I'm really, really hopeful for the future of Ben Johnson, particularly as how two-footed he is. And look, all footballers should be able to kick with both feet, right? Fine. But not all of them can. He can. And I think he's going to be a really good addition to the squad in terms of covering both positions. But to get back to Ashby, I didn't realise he was from the Chelsea Academy. For whatever reason, things didn't go well with Chelsea. So he's walked the same route and trodden the same path as Declan Rice, released by Chelsea or whatever, signed for West Ham. Apparently, there were a lot of other clubs in for him as well, and particularly at the point where he signed his contract. So he's just signed a senior contract at West Ham. A lot of other clubs are in for him. But he decided to stay with West Ham. Now, his father, Barry, played for Watford, played for Gillingham, played sort of like 270 games for Gillingham, and was a defender, was a centre-half. So maybe it was no surprise that he's comfortable in defensive positions and so on and so forth, and understands the game of football. But just to touch on the parents as well, I've seen a professional basically a professional footballer who plays at Premier League level and actually even played for West Ham. More or less had digs at my mum's house. Basically, I've seen a footballer come through from a 13-year-old lad to be a professional footballer. So I've seen it. I've seen it all, from the youth players and everything. And actually, your first games, your first senior games are really, really important. And it's really nice and really important for people to have their family there. And a lot of players it's just a big day. You can understand that, right? From a family's point of view, to go and see your son go and play football, or your grandson or whatever. They can't do that anymore. And I remember just when the player that I'm talking about, when they first were getting in the first team, playing first team football, it was very much a case of, okay, I've been told by the manager that I'm in the squad for such and such a game. There's 10 tickets, you've got to go and pick them up at the box office. So that's what we used to do, and we used to go down there. And actually, I think the first 5 or 6 times we went down there, he didn't get on the pitch. And that's the sort of risk you take. But it's very exciting. It's a very big time for family and friends. And I feel a bit sorry for him that his mum and his dad haven't been able to enjoy, a proud moment for him. So he's also got to overcome that. But every other player that's made their debuts had the support of their family in the stands. And when after you get the change rooms, they're in the players' lounge and the family are all there. He hasn't even got that. So I think we're looking at a very driven, very determined, very confident young man. And I'm I don't want to put too much pressure on him, mate. He looks really good, doesn't he? Let's be absolutely frank about this. I do wonder, though, just before I finish up, I do wonder how much no fans in the stadium is going to contribute to the young players being able to adapt. And I don't so much mean at home, because everybody loves a young homegrown player coming through. I'll give you an example. Felipe Anderson's running down the wing and loses possession. Oh, God, there'll just be a massive load of groans, right? Nathan Holland runs down the wing, loses the ball. Oh, come on, son, come on, go at him again. There's just a different. You go a little bit easier because they, you feel attached to them. You want them to do well. Players coming through the academy is a good thing. So not so much at home, but in those away games, the young players, it's a bit of a cauldron. So whilst it's not great that they don't have their family there, that's a negative. I do think what might be a positive in terms of young players and why this might be a good opportunity for young players to be blooded into the team, not just a West Ham, but any team, is they don't have that heavy burden of the fans there in away games, giving them absolutely loads of stick. And I just wonder how much that plays a part. I suspect, looking at Ashby, he would have played that way regardless of whether there were fans there or not. I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that we don't need to go and buy fullbacks. That's not what I'm saying. We don't need fullbacks now. Ashby on the right, Johnson on the left. I'm not saying that. I think they still should. But I'm not entirely sure that these players should be sent on loan. In fact, in Johnson's case, he definitely shouldn't be. Ashby, I don't know. I think it's worth hanging on to. I just wonder how much he would feature this season. I think Ben Johnson's going to play 10, 15 games this season, at least, by the way. At least. And that ain't bad. I mean, he's going to think that's a good season. That's good progress in that sense. It is a funny one, but bearing in mind everything that's happened, bearing in mind, when I say everything that's happened, I mean Diop, Josh Cullen, and David Moyes all coming down with COVID-19 with no notice. With no notice at all. Whether you are Harrison Ashby, whether you are Ben Johnson, or anybody else that's on the fringes of the squad, you better be ready, because at a moment's notice, a positive test comes in, 5 players automatically are not eligible for the team, and people are getting drafted in from all over the place. You better be ready, because you could find yourself instantly in the team when you least expect it. And if that happens, then you've got to grasp the nettle. You've got to grab your chance. Grab the ball by the horns? Something like that. Anyway, I think in this instance, an opportunity was given to Harrison Ashby, and he's grabbed it. He looks a very, very fine player.